Ok, hôm nay hướng dẫn các bạn cái cách mà ta hỏi lại giám khảo IELTS trong cái trường hợp mà ta không nghe rõ câu hỏi hoặc là ta nghe được nhưng mà ta chưa hiểu rõ cái câu hỏi đấy, không biết câu hỏi đấy ý là gì nhá, thì ta sẽ hỏi. Ta có cách như sau, các bạn ta tập trung nhá.
1. Could you please clarify your question? Example, I'm not quite sure I understand. Could you please clarify your question? 2. Would you mind elaborating on your question a bit? Example, your question is a bit unclear. Would you mind elaborating on it a bit? 3. Could you provide more details about what you're asking? Example, I want to make sure I answer correctly. Could you provide more details about what you're asking? 4. I'm not entirely sure I grasp your question. Could you rephrase it or provide more context? Example, your question is a bit confusing. I'm not entirely sure I grasp it. Could you rephrase it or provide more context? 5. Could you break down your question for me? Example, I want to make sure I address all aspects. Could you break down your question for me? 6. I might need a bit more information to understand your question fully. Could you please provide additional details? Example, your question is a bit ambiguous. I might need a bit more information to understand it fully. Could you please provide additional details? 7. Sorry, I'm not sure I follow. Can you provide more clarity or context to your question? Your question is a bit unclear to me. Sorry, I'm not sure I follow. Can you provide more clarity or context to your question? 8. I want to make sure I answer accurately. Could you give me more information about your question? Example, I'm not entirely clear on your question. I want to make sure I answer accurately. Could you give me more information about your question? 9. I'm a bit confused by your question. Could you simplify it or offer more details? Example, your question is a bit confusing to me. I'm a bit confused. Could you simplify it or offer more details? 10. I'm having trouble understanding your question completely. Can you provide more information or rephrase it? Example, your question is a bit challenging for me to understand. I'm having trouble understanding it completely. Can you provide more information or rephrase it?